Hi, I'm Alex from Zest, and today I want to share with you our growth mapping framework. This is a really important part of the work that we do when working with different clients, and it's also useful as a standalone product if you're looking to grow your own business. So in short, it's separated into three key sections. So we have profile, position, and profit. The profile section looks at your business, your customer, and your competitors. And then once we understand more about those three elements of what we're looking at, we can then jump into position. So we're looking at changing your messaging, we're looking at creating a content map, and also looking at lead magnets and conversion events that are going to be the things that actually, they're the magic moments where someone is happy to exchange their data and information for the value that you're giving. So everything leads towards a conversion then. And lastly, we have the profit section. So we want to be able to forecast what growth could look like and how it can be achieved. And often this is made up of many different metrics and many different milestones, such as how much traffic's coming to your website, how many inquiries are you getting, how many of those inquiries turn into a qualified lead, how many of those qualified leads then go into your next stage, so let's call it sales qualified leads, and how many of those then receive a quote and ultimately a sale. And then looking at channels and tactics. So now we understand much more about your customer. How are we going to reach them? How are we going to create touch points along the journey to help them to make their decision? And then lastly, from there, we then turn this into a series of tests, and we use test-based marketing to unpick the log towards achieving the growth that you're looking to achieve. Because we can't guess it through a marketing plan, that says that you only have one way of doing things. And if it doesn't work, you can often find yourself stuck. So we prefer a test-based model where we're trying to achieve successful tests, more successful tests than not, that follow a strategy towards an objective and ultimately towards the growth of your business moving forward. So let's get started. So one of the first exercises that we tend to go through with our clients is really understanding what sales interactions happen and when. It's really important that we understand those, because oftentimes people will just stop at the website. So once you get traffic to your website and then you convert, it's not the end of that process. And not understanding that each step within that process can really skew your figures and can ultimately hinder your ability to grow your business, because you'll be achieving one thing at the bottom end, but you won't be achieving the ultimate result at the top, which is your revenue growth. So this is a really quick exercise that I'm going to run through with you. And hopefully it will help you to understand, at what points do your customers go on within their journey through to becoming a customer. So what we've got is we've got a series of interactions here. We've got first, second, third, fourth, fifth. You could potentially have more depending on the size and the complexity of the sale, or you may have less. It doesn't matter. The ultimate aim is that we're starting right over this side, on the left-hand side, where effectively we're saying our conversion rate from the website is, in this case, 5%. So all the numbers I'm using for this are really designed to make the maths easy for me, so that I can share the example with you. So we're going to assume that we convert 5% of all visitors who land on our website into an inquiry. Then it's important that we understand what happens after that inquiry reaches, say, the inbox of our customer or your business. So in this case, in this example, we're going to say there's a scoping call. So inquiry comes in, someone picks up the phone and has a scoping call with the inquiry. And normally this is maybe a first qualification. So understanding whether there's a genuine need, what that need might be, does it fit the service that you provide? Is there an available budget, and other qualification factors that you might have within your business. So what we're saying is that 50% of all the inquiries that come in actually end up qualified. And once they've been qualified, we're saying that the next step is a site survey. So with a site survey, obviously that's quite a time intensive thing. So we really want to make sure that's why that first interaction is really important. But at this point, we know that the lead is qualified. We then conduct an on-site survey, or whatever that means looks like to you. And then from there, we end up with 75% of all site surveys going forward to a quote. So we're assuming quite a high conversion rate because we've qualified them well, and we want to make sure that time is well spent. But 75% ultimately go through to receive a quote from us. And then from there, 50% convert into a closed sale. So I'm going to now show you how that impacts your numbers. So I've fired up my calculator in front of me just so I get the maths right. We're going to start on the left-hand side. So we're going to assume that we're aiming for 10,000 visitors. In fact, we'll go for 12,000 visitors over the course of a year, just to keep it really simple. So roughly 1,000 visitors a month. Now, if we convert at 0.05, we can expect 600 leads over the course of that period. Now, if that's a year, that's what it looks like to you. It could be a month. It really doesn't matter. The time frame is kind of expandable or contractible as relevant to your business and what you can achieve. But for this example, we've got 12,000 visits, and out of those, we convert 5%, 600 leads. From there, we then convert 50% of those, so 0.5, into from a scoping call into a site survey. So that's 300 site surveys over the course of the year, of which 0.75 turn into quotes. So in this case, 225 quotes are then generated. And then from there, we're then multiplying by 50% again, which leads us to 112.5, so roughly 112 closed sales. So you can see how we've moved from 600 leads down to 112, 113 there or thereabouts in terms of sales. So now this becomes really important, because depending on your average order value of the product that you're now this becomes really important, because we take your average order value of the product it is that you're trying to promote to understand whether this is a feasible growth strategy for your business. So 112 sales, if it was £50 per sale, wouldn't be a particularly good investment given what you might have to invest into achieving those sales. But if the product is £10,000 or £50,000 or more, then all of a sudden you can start to understand that actually might be worthwhile. So let's just take really easy maths, and we'll say that it's worth 7,500, which is £843,750 in terms of return for your business. So now you can start to see what is possible and what can be achieved if you only hit your 12,000 traffic and 5% conversion rate and maintain everything else. The reality is that these numbers aren't going to be dead straight, but what it does is it creates a benchmark and a baseline for you to work from. So as leads start to come in and you start to measure them through your pipeline, you can see where the weaknesses might be starting to occur, and then you can focus your attention within those spots. So in this case, for example, let's say we still achieve 5% in terms of the leads, the inquiries through the website, but only 25% were then going through from the scoping call to site survey. Then we can start to look at things like, well, is the quality of lead the right quality? So the numbers would assume or suggest that it's not quite there. Now, this is really powerful as part of an overall growth strategy. It's the difference between digital marketing in some ways, where it kind of buck stops at the website, and looking at the whole growth strategy of the business as a whole, where you start to really integrate the different departments so that we know, okay, we've got these benchmark stats, we know that we're trying to keep the line as close to that as possible in order to reach your growth goals. And hopefully you'll be able to achieve your growth goals by following a very similar, simple model as we use in our growth mapping framework.